That cereal you poured this morning contains more chemicals than a school science lab. The bread in your sandwich has been so heavily processed that it barely qualifies as food anymore. And the ready meal heating in your microwave? It's made with ingredients banned in multiple countries for health reasons. British supermarkets are filled with ultra-processed foods that look healthy but are nutritionally worthless. These brands spend millions on marketing to convince you they're good choices when the reality is they're slowly destroying your health with every bite. I've spent weeks investigating ultra-processed foods sold in UK supermarkets, analysing ingredients, speaking to nutritionists, and testing products. What I discovered will make you rethink everything in your shopping basket right now. Some of these brands are selling you products that contain more additives than actual food. By the end of this, you'll know exactly which ultra-processed brands to avoid and why intelligent shoppers never touch them. Let's start with the worst offenders that only dumb people keep buying. Number 12. Müller Corner Yogurts. Müller Corner yogurts are marketed as a fun, tasty snack that's supposedly part of a balanced diet. The reality is ultra-processed desserts masquerading as healthy yogurt. The yogurt itself contains modified starch, which is added to create a thick texture without using actual yogurt cultures. Real yogurt gets its thickness from fermentation. Müller uses chemicals to fake it. A food scientist told me, Müller Corner products are designed to appeal to children with bright colors and sweet mix-ins, but the sugar content is higher than that of many chocolate bars. A single pot contains over 15 grams of sugar, which is nearly 4 teaspoons. The fruit in the corner isn't real fruit. It's a fruit-flavored compote made with fruit concentrate, sugar, modified starch, and artificial colorings. The chocolate balls and other mix-ins are similarly processed with vegetable oils, emulsifiers, and flavorings. The protein content is minimal compared to real Greek yogurt. You're getting around 4 grams of protein per pot versus 15 to 20 grams in proper yogurt. The price is around £2 for 4 pots. You're paying for packaging, marketing, and additives rather than quality dairy. When I compared Müller Corner to natural yogurt with fresh fruit, the differences were obvious. Real yogurt has a clean ingredient list of milk and live cultures. Müller's list reads like a chemistry textbook. But if Müller's fake fruit yogurt bothers you, the next brand takes processed breakfast foods to an even more disturbing level. Number 11. Kellogg's Crunchy Nut Corn Flakes. Kellogg's Crunchy Nut is marketed as a delicious breakfast that gives you energy to start the day. The reality is sugar-coated corn processed beyond recognition. The sugar content is shocking. A single serving contains over 10 grams of sugar, which is more than 2 teaspoons. Many people eat double or triple the suggested serving size, consuming over 30 grams of sugar for breakfast. A nutritionist analyzed Crunchy Nut for me and said, "This product is essentially candy disguised as cereal. The corn has been processed, flattened, coated in sugar and peanut flavoring, and then toasted. The fiber content is minimal, the protein is negligible, and the vitamins are artificially added after processing destroys the natural nutrients." The honey flavoring isn't real honey. Its honey flavor is created with sugar, glucose syrup, and artificial flavorings. The price is around £3.50 for a box that provides maybe 8 actual servings if you measure properly. When I tested Crunchy Nut against homemade muesli with oats, nuts, and fresh fruit, the nutritional differences were dramatic. The muesli provided sustained energy for hours. Crunchy Nut left me hungry within an hour. Moving from breakfast cereals to sandwich fillings, our next brand proves that even seemingly simple foods have been utterly destroyed by industrial processing. Number 10. Philadelphia Chocolate Cream Cheese. Philadelphia's flavored cream cheeses represent everything wrong with taking a simple food and ruining it with unnecessary processing. The chocolate variety is particularly offensive. Real cream cheese contains 3 ingredients: cream, milk, and bacterial culture. Philadelphia chocolate contains over 15 ingredients including sugar, cocoa powder processed with alkali, modified food starch, gelatin, artificial flavor, and multiple preservatives. A dairy farmer explained, cream cheese should be a simple fermented dairy product. What Philadelphia has done is create a heavily processed spread that barely resembles real cheese. The chocolate flavoring is artificial. Real chocolate would be too expensive and would separate from the cheese base. The sugar content is around 12 grams per serving, which is 3 teaspoons. The texture is artificially smooth. Real cream cheese has a slight graininess from cheese curds. Philadelphia uses stabilizers and emulsifiers to create an unnaturally smooth texture. The price is around £2.50 for a small tub. You're paying premium prices for processed cheese-based dessert spread. When I compared Philadelphia chocolate to real cream cheese with actual dark chocolate mixed in, the differences were stark. The homemade version tasted like real dairy and real chocolate. Philadelphia tasted like chemicals. But as bad as dessert cream cheese is, our next brand shows how even beverages marketed as healthy have been transformed into ultra-processed chemical cocktails. Number 9. Ribena Light. Ribena Light is marketed as a low-calorie alternative to regular Ribena, positioned as a healthier choice for families. The reality is that artificial sweeteners and flavorings have minimal actual fruit content. The blackcurrant juice content is around 10%. That means 90% of what you're drinking is water, sweeteners, acids, and additives. A dietitian told me, Ribena Light uses intense sweeteners including aspartame A and acesulfame K to replace sugar. These artificial sweeteners are hundreds of times sweeter than sugar, training your palate to expect extreme sweetness in everything you consume. The vitamin C is artificially added as ascorbic acid, not natural vitamin C from black currants. You could get far more vitamin C from eating an actual orange. The price is around £2 for a large bottle. You could buy actual black currants or make fresh fruit water for less money. When I compared Ribena Light to water infused with fresh black currants, the homemade version tasted like real fruit. Ribena tasted aggressively artificial and left a chemical aftertaste. From fake fruit drinks, we now move to frozen foods, where our next brand proves that convenience comes at a devastating cost to your health. Number 8. Bird's Eye Chicken. Dippers. Bird's Eye Chicken. Dippers are marketed as a quick, kid-friendly meal that's convenient for busy families. The reality is mechanically recovered chicken covered in heavily processed breading. The chicken content is around 60%, which sounds reasonable until you realize it's mechanically recovered chicken. This is meat paste created by forcing chicken carcasses through high-pressure systems to strip every scrap from the bones. A food processing expert revealed, mechanically recovered meat is what's left after the good cuts have been removed. The carcasses are crushed and forced through sieves, creating a paste that contains bone fragments, cartilage, and connective tissue, along with actual muscle meat. The breading represents 40% of the product's weight, meaning you're paying for cheap breading rather than chicken. The fat content is around 15 grams per 100 grams, with most being unhealthy saturated and trans fats from the frying oils. The dippers are pre-fried before freezing. The price is around £3 for a box. You could buy real chicken breast for similar money and get 4 times the nutritional value. But processed chicken is just the beginning of the frozen food deception, as our next brand demonstrates with equally disturbing ingredients. Number 7. McCain Home Chips. McCain Home Chips are marketed as restaurant-quality chips you can make at home. The reality is that potatoes have been so heavily processed that they barely resemble real food. The potatoes are cut, par-fried in palm oil, frozen, coated in additives, and then packaged. The palm oil is high in saturated fat and linked to cardiovascular disease. A nutritionist explained, McCain chips contain modified starch, dextrose, and stabilizers that aren't in real chips. These additives help the chips stay crispy after freezing and reheating. The par frying means the chips are already cooked once before you buy them. This double cooking creates acrylamide, a potential carcinogen that forms when starchy foods are heated to high temperatures. The coating includes dextrose, a sugar added to promote browning. Real chips don't need added sugar. The price is around £2 for a kilogram. You could buy actual potatoes and make fresh chips for £1 with better nutrition. When I compared McCain home chips to homemade chips cut from fresh potatoes, the fresh chips tasted like potatoes with a crispy exterior. McCain chips tasted like oil and salt. Moving from frozen to shelf-stable processed foods, our next brand shows how even simple snacks have been transformed into chemical nightmares. Number 6. Pringles. Pringles are marketed as fun, shareable snacks with clever packaging and flavors. The reality is that potato-based chips are made from dehydrated processed potato flakes rather than actual sliced potatoes. The main ingredient is dried potato flakes that have been reconstituted with water, then mixed with wheat starch, corn flour, rice flour, and oils to create a dough. A food scientist told me, Pringles aren't potato chips in any traditional sense. They're formed from a dough that's only about 42% potato. Legally, they're classified as potato crisps rather than chips because they don't meet the definition of actual sliced potatoes. The fat content is around 30 grams per 100 grams, with most being unhealthy, saturated and trans fats. The sodium content is excessive, with some flavors containing over 1.5 grams per 100 grams. The flavorings are entirely artificial. Original Pringles contain maltodextrin, monosodium glutamate and various E numbers. The sour cream and onion variety contains no actual sour cream. The price is around £2.50 for a tube. You're paying for extensive processing and marketing rather than actual food value. When I compared Pringles to kettle-cooked crisps made from real sliced potatoes, the real crisps had varying shapes, visible potato texture, and authentic flavor. Pringles tasted like flavored compressed starch. But ultra-processed snacks are just one category of concern, as our next brand proves with its disturbing approach to supposedly healthy breakfast foods. Number 5. Alpen Original Muesli. Alpen is marketed as a wholesome, nutritious breakfast that's better than sugary cereals. The reality is heavily processed grains with excessive sugar and minimal actual nutrition. The sugar content is around 21 grams per 100 grams, which is over 5 teaspoons. That's higher than many cereals Alpen positions itself against. A dietitian analysed Alpen and found this product markets itself as healthy muesli, but it's essentially sweetened cereal with some oats and dried fruit. The grain flakes have been heat-treated and processed to create that crispy texture. The fruit content is minimal, around 15%. The pieces are small, heavily sweetened and include fruit treated with preservatives. The price is around £3 for a box. You could buy raw oats, dried fruit and nuts separately for less money and make real muesli. When I compared Alpen to homemade muesli made with raw oats, chopped dates, almonds and seeds, the homemade version provided sustained energy for hours. Alpen caused blood sugar spikes followed by crashes. From breakfast cereals to spreads, our next brand demonstrates how even foods that seem simple have been corrupted by industrial processing. Number 4. Flora Proactive Spread. Flora Proactive is marketed as a heart-healthy spread that actively lowers cholesterol. The reality is that vegetable oil whipped with water, emulsifiers, and added plant sterols may cause more harm than good. The ingredient list reveals that water is the first ingredient, followed by vegetable oils including rapeseed, palm, and linseed. You're buying water and cheap oils held together by chemicals. A cardiologist told me plant sterols can reduce cholesterol absorption in some people, but you're consuming them in a vehicle of heavily processed vegetable oils. The oils have been extracted using chemical solvents, refined at high temperatures, and bleached. The fat content is around 38%, but the type of fat matters. The vegetable oils have been industrially processed, creating trans fats and oxidized fats that are inflammatory. The emulsifiers include mono and diglycerides and lecithin. These chemicals have unknown long-term effects on health. The plant sterols are added compounds extracted from vegetable oils or wood pulp. Research shows they may interfere with the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins, including vitamins A, D, E, and K. The price is around £4 for a tub. You're paying premium prices for water and processed oils because of health claims. When I compared Flora Proactive to real butter from grass-fed cows, butter contains natural vitamins, beneficial fatty acids like conjugated linoleic acid, and no industrial processing. Flora contains processed oils and synthetic additives, but spreads aren't the only category where health claims disguise ultra-processed products, as our next brand proves with its disturbing approach to children's nutrition. Number 3. Capri Sun. Capri Sun is marketed as a fun, fruity drink for children's lunchboxes. The reality is sugar water with minimal fruit content and aggressive marketing targeting young children. The fruit juice content is around 12%. That means 88% is water, sugar, acids, and flavorings. A pediatric nutritionist explained, Capri Sun and similar juice drinks are one of the main contributors to childhood obesity and tooth decay in the UK. Each pouch contains around 17 grams of sugar, which is over 4 teaspoons. The acidity is damaging to tooth enamel. With a pH around 3.2, Capri Sun is acidic enough to erode children's developing teeth with regular consumption. The packaging is deliberately designed to appeal to children with bright colors, fun characters, and collectible designs. Vitamin C is artificially added, not from real fruit. The amount is minimal and doesn't compensate for the excessive sugar. The price is around £2.50 for a pack of 10 pouches. You're paying for packaging and marketing rather than nutrition. When I compared Capri Sun to water with fresh fruit slices, the fresh fruit water provided hydration and vitamins from actual fruit. Capri Sun provided sugar and nothing else. From drinks targeting children to meals targeting busy adults, our next brand represents perhaps the most disturbing category of ultra-processed foods. Number 2. Pot noodle. Pot noodle is marketed as quick, filling comfort food for people on the go. The reality is instant noodles made from refined flour fried in palm oil, served with flavor packets containing more additives than actual food. The noodles are made from wheat flour that's been processed to remove fiber and nutrients, then deep fried in palm oil. A nutritionist analyzed multiple pot noodle varieties and said, these products contain almost every warning sign of ultra-processed food. The ingredient list exceeds 30 items, including multiple E numbers, flavor enhancers, artificial colors, and palm oil. The sodium content in a single pot is around half your daily limit. The monosodium glutamate in the flavor packet enhances savory taste, but has been linked to headaches and nausea in sensitive individuals. The meat content is minimal, usually around 3 to 5%. The chicken flavor contains tiny amounts of chicken powder made from processed scraps. The fat content is around 15 grams per pot, mostly unhealthy saturated fats from palm oil. The price is around £1.50 per pot. You could buy actual ingredients and make real noodle soup for similar money. When I compared pot noodle to homemade ramen made with fresh noodles, real chicken, and vegetables, the homemade version was a complete meal. Pot noodle was salty, greasy noodles in chemical broth. But as disturbing as instant noodles are, nothing compares to our #1 ultra-processed brand that represents the absolute worst of industrial food manufacturing. Number 1. Rustler's Microwave Burgers. And here we are at the worst ultra-processed brand sold in UK supermarkets. Rustler's Microwave Burgers represent the absolute bottom of the food quality barrel. The beef patty is made from mechanically recovered meat, which is paste created by blasting cattle bones with high-pressure water to remove every scrap. A food safety inspector told me, Rustler's products are about as far from real food as legally possible. The meat is recovered scraps mixed with water, soy protein, and binders. The bread is industrial white bread made with the Chorleywood process. The cheese is processed cheese food, not real cheese. The meat content is around 20% of what you'd expect from a proper burger. The bread is made using the Chorleywood bread process, which uses high-speed mixing, chemical improvers, and hydrogenated fats. The result is a foam-like texture with no nutritional value. The salt content is extreme. A single burger contains over 3 grams of salt, which is half your daily limit. The fat content is around 20 grams per burger, mostly unhealthy, saturated and trans fats. The preservatives allow these burgers to last for months at room temperature before opening. Real food requires refrigeration. The price is around £2 per burger. You could buy real beef mince and proper buns for less money and make 4 actual burgers. When I compared a Rustler's burger to a freshly made burger, the fresh burger was juicy meat with good texture. The Rustlers were mushy paste in foam bread. Now that we've exposed the 12 worst offenders, let me show you what real food actually looks like and how to identify it every single time you shop. No, this is overwhelming, but here's what you need to do. Stop buying all 12 of these ultra-processed brands immediately. They're destroying your health while taking your money. Every single one is marketed cleverly to seem like reasonable food choices when they're actually industrial products made from the cheapest ingredients possible. Now that we've exposed the worst ultra-processed brands, let me show you what real food actually looks like. Yeo Valley Organic Natural Yogurt is one of the few products in UK supermarkets that hasn't been destroyed by industrial processing. Number 3. Yeo Valley Organic Yogurt. The ingredient list contains exactly 2 things: organic milk and live yogurt cultures. That's it. No modified starch, no thickeners, no stabilizers, no artificial anything. The milk comes from Yeo Valley's own farms in Somerset, where cows graze on organic pastures. No pesticides, no routine antibiotics, no intensive farming methods. A nutritionist who analysed Yeo Valley told me, "This is what yogurt should be. The protein content is high at around 5 grams per 100 grams because it's actual dairy, not thickened with chemicals. The taste varies slightly between batches because it's made from real milk that changes with the seasons, not a standardized industrial product. The price is around £2 for a 500-gram pot. You're paying for organic farming standards and actual food instead of additives and marketing." When I compared Yeo Valley to Muller Corner side by side, the differences were dramatic. Yeo Valley had natural colour, authentic dairy taste, and kept me full for hours. Muller Corner was unnaturally thick and tasted like chemicals and sugar. Moving from dairy to another category where real food still exists, our next brand proves that bread doesn't have to be industrial foam. Number 2. Poilan Sourdough Bread. Poilan makes proper bread using methods that haven't changed in centuries. The sourdough contains just 4 ingredients: organic stone ground wheat flour, water, sea salt, and natural sourdough starter. The bread is made through slow fermentation over 18 hours. The sourdough starter contains wild yeasts and bacteria that naturally occur on grain. A professional baker explained, "Poilan represents what bread should be. The long fermentation breaks down gluten proteins and phytic acid, which is why many people who claim gluten sensitivity can actually eat proper sourdough. The crust is thick and chewy. The crumb is dense and satisfying. One slice keeps you full for hours because it's real food." The bread costs around £8 for a large loaf weighing approximately 1 kilogram. The loaf lasts over a week without going stale because the thick crust protects the interior. When I compared Poilan to mass-produced white bread, the differences were shocking. Poilan had a deep brown crust, a complex flavour, and kept me satisfied for 4 hours. The factory bread was uniform with white foam, a bland taste, and left me hungry within 90 minutes. From bread to our final real food brand that shows how simple ingredients can create complete nutrition. Number 1. Hodmedod's British Pulses. And here's the number 1 brand that gets food right. Hodmedod's sells dried pulses, grains and seeds grown by British farmers. Their products are as minimal as food gets. Single ingredients with absolutely nothing added. The company was founded to revive heritage British crops that had nearly disappeared from farming. They work directly with farmers across the UK to grow varieties like Carlin peas, fava beans, and naked oats. A sustainable food advocate told me, Hodmedod's represents the future of food. Locally grown, minimally processed, nutritionally dense, and environmentally sustainable. Their products require soaking and cooking. But that's what real food requires. The products are exactly what they claim to be. A bag of Carlin peas contains Carlin peas. There's no salt, no preservatives, no anti-caking agents. The price is around £3 for a 500-gram bag. That makes 6 to 8 servings, working out to around 40 pence per serving. Now that you've seen what real food looks like, let me teach you how to identify it every single time you shop. This is the foolproof method for spotting real food and avoiding ultra-processed garbage forever. Step 1. Count the ingredients. Real food has 5 ingredients or fewer. If the list exceeds 10 items, it's been ultra-processed. The longer the list, the more industrial processing occurred. Step 2. Can you picture each ingredient growing? Milk comes from cows, wheat grows in fields, but modified starch, maltodextrin and mono and diglycerides don't grow anywhere. They're created in factories through chemical processes. Step 3. Check for E numbers. Real food contains 0 E numbers because it doesn't need artificial colors, flavors or preservatives. Step 4. Read the sugar content. For savory foods, anything over 2 grams of sugar per 100 grams means sugar has been added unnecessarily. Real savory food is naturally low in sugar. Step 5. Examine the fiber content. Ultra-processed foods strip out fiber during refining. Real food is naturally high in fiber. Aim for at least 3 grams per 100 grams. Step 6. Verify the protein quality. If the label says mechanically recovered, reformed or restructured, run away. Real meat, fish or legumes should be listed clearly. Step 7. Ignore health claims on the front. Products that shout about being healthy usually aren't. Real food doesn't need health claims because its benefits are obvious. Step 8. Check how long it lasts. If something sits on a shelf for months without spoiling, question what's in it. Real bread goes stale within days. Real milk sours within a week. Food that lasts forever isn't really food. Step 9. Shop the perimeter. Supermarkets put fresh foods around. The edges and processed foods in the center aisles. Shop the edges, avoid the middle. Step 10. Buy ingredients, not products. Oats, rice, beans, vegetables, meat, fish, eggs, milk. These are foods humans have eaten for thousands of years. Your body knows how to process them. A former food industry executive told me, if it comes in a box with cartoon characters, bold health claims, and an ingredient list you can't understand, it's designed for profit, not nutrition. Real food companies don't need flashy packaging. Learn to cook basic meals from real ingredients. Roasting vegetables takes 20 minutes. Cooking rice takes 20 minutes. These are the same time commitments as heating ultra-processed meals, but you're eating actual food. Stop falling for marketing terms. Natural means nothing legally. Read the actual ingredient list, not the marketing copy. Support transparent companies. Real food brands tell you exactly where ingredients come from. Hodmedod's lists the farm name on every bag. Ultra-processed brands hide behind vague statements. Have you been buying ultra-processed brands thinking they were reasonable choices? Are you shocked by what actually goes into them? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if this opened your eyes, share it with everyone who shops at UK supermarkets. They deserve to know what they're actually eating and how to identify real food